Hey guys, so you ready for today's October 22nd, 2024, 2:17 a.m. Central Time. Truth about legalizing or banning abortion 2024 election. Obviously, this is a hot topic this election due to the fact Roe v. Wade was overturned. Here's the deal. This video is going to be factual. Has absolutely nothing to do with my opinion or feelings on this topic. It is so bothersome to me that this is even a campaign issue because you're all being lied to by both campaigns, to be quite honest. Harris wants to legalize Roe v. Wade and actually codify that law. They say Trump wants to ban abortion, which is actually incorrect. He actually is for restrictions, but he hasn't even said whether he wants restrictions on a federal level or not. He's actually happy with what SCOTUS did and by putting it back to the states. Beside the point. Let's, for this video, for fun, actually believe Harris when she says Trump wants to ban abortion, okay? I'm telling you right now, you are being lied to. Abortion on a federal level will never, ever be legalized or banned. It is simple fact. The abortion lobbyists are so huge. Why do you think... For a second, think about this. Why do you think that Roe v. Wade, which was altered by Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992, which is a big difference, by the way, of what would actually go into law, based on what Harris is saying, she wants to codify Roe v. Wade, which is actually a very ignorant statement, because Casey altered Roe v. Wade in a very positive way that you could not look past the Casey decision when looking at abortion at this point. So codifying Roe v. Wade is illogical and would not go well anyway. Period. Let's get that out of the way. I'm going to show you Roe v. Wade because a lot of people don't seem to understand what it even is. And then I'm going to show you the alterations that Casey made about abortion that altered Roe v. Wade. I'll show you that in a second. But the reason abortion was not legalized or banned or restricted or had anything ever since 1973 when Roe v. Wade went through, we are now, 50 some odd years out. Why it was never touched in Congress is simple. The abortion lobby. The abortion lobby, meaning Planned Parenthood and others, actually lobbied congressional members hard on both sides, believe it or not, to not discuss abortion in Congress. They literally paid people who are wanting to put restrictions on abortion to shut their mouths. They actually gave money to people who wanted to legalize abortion to shut their mouths. Because as soon as something goes into law through Congress, it is much more difficult to attempt to overturn. And once something gets passed, as we all know, regarding any right through Congress, it slowly gets chipped away more and more and more over the years. Planned Parenthood and the lobbyists never wanted abortion to be touched at a federal level. Period. And it never was it? Why do you think that thought process would change, even though Roe v. Wade is gone? It is now put to the state level. People are dealing with it on a state level. Where do you think that lobbying money moved from? Congress. That lobbying money is now going into local campaigns, state level and even county levels, okay? And they're going into pockets of congressional state level, okay? And campaigning and everything. Like, we have an abortion law coming up, proposal for an amendment for Missouri to allow abortions in this election, whether you vote yes or no, to actually legalize abortion in the Constitution of Missouri. That is actually a question on our ballot this year. So if for some reason if for some reason Congress decided to want to do this, and there was a bill that did come up under this Congress that did touch abortion, did it get touched? Of course it didn't. Have there been bills in the past that want to touch abortion, whether legalizing, banning, restricting? Of course there are. Who do you think stops those bills? The Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker. Okay, they table those things. They make sure that stuff gets killed in committee because money talks. Absolutely nothing will happen at a federal level anytime soon, just because of the lobbying from the abortion people. They don't want it codified. They don't want restrictions. They sure as hell don't want it banned. It's not going to happen. On top of that, there are too many people who have decided to make Congress their lives. They are not there to serve a few terms or even a term. They're there to live there. If you haven't noticed, I'd say a good quarter of our congressional members are melting like cheese. They have been there for decades, okay? So when people decide to make Congress their life and their livelihood for years on end, and they don't want to leave once they get there, they will do what they need to do to stay in office. There are pro-life, there are pro-choice, and there are people who are both pro-life and pro-choice that believe there should be restrictions too. Trying to get a majority in the House to agree to do anything on abortion would be ridiculous to think they would, because they want to keep their seats. Depending on how that person thinks is not going to determine their vote. It's going to be how their district thinks or their state thinks on this topic. Likely will not have anything to do with their personal opinion because they want to stay in office. There are not enough senators, and there never will be, and there never has been, to ban or legalize or restrict abortion. There will never be enough congressional members in the House of Representatives to legalize, restrict, or ban abortion. That is just a fact. It does not matter who is in the White House. It's never going to happen. People want their seats for the rest of their lives, so they'll vote how their state or their district does. And two, the lobbying money is intense on this topic whenever it is a possibility of coming up. Okay? People get paid to not discuss it, and people get paid who want to discuss it to shut up. Okay? They shut people up by giving them money. I think lobbying in Congress should absolutely be 100% illegal. But that is a personal opinion. I just think things would be very interesting if they weren't. So anyway, for Harris to say she wants to codify Roe v. Wade, let me tell you what Roe v. Wade is for those of you who are just unaware. This is part of Roe v. Wade. This right of privacy, whether it be founded in the 14th Amendment's concept of personal liberty and restrictions upon state action as we feel it is, or as the district court determined, in the 9th Amendment's reservation of rights to the people, is broad enough to encompass a woman's decision whether to terminate her pregnancy. Roe v. Wade determined an abortion was not a right under the Constitution. It fell under the right of privacy, which is in the Constitution. That is a very big difference between people who think abortion was actually determined by SCOTUS as being a right. That is incorrect. Abortion fell under the right of privacy. Period. That was actually an opinion determined by the court, which was very interesting. Beside the point. Also part of Roe v. Wade. A state may properly assert important interests. Let's start again. A state may properly assert important interests in safeguarding health, maintaining medical standards, and in protecting potential life. At some point in the pregnancy, these respective interests become sufficiently compelling to sustain regulation of the factors that govern the abortion decision. We therefore conclude that the right of personal privacy includes the abortion decision, but that this right is not unqualified and must be considered against important state interests in regulation. What that means is that states can absolutely create regulations for an abortion. That was under Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade created a trimester framework, and I'll go into that in a second. I'll go into it right now because it actually was spelled out quite well. The viability of the fetus has to do with Casey, but this is what was in Roe, okay? The Roe trimester framework completely forbade states from regulating abortion during the first trimester of pregnancy. It permitted regulations designed to protect a woman's health in the second trimester and permitted prohibitations on abortion during the third trimester when the fetus becomes viable. Period. Under the justification of fetal protection and so long as the life or health of the mother was not at risk. That was the actual Roe law. They couldn't touch anything in the first trimester. Second trimester was protect the woman's health. Third trimester had to do with the fetus becoming viable. So states could literally ban in the third trimester abortions. Okay, that would fall under Roe v. Wade. So there was still allowable restrictions under Roe v. Wade. It was not 100% have an abortion up to birth. It just isn't. That's not what Roe v. Wade was. However, during Casey, it was Planned Parenthood versus Casey, and it came out in 1992. They got rid of the framework of the trimester situation that Roe created because technology advanced. So they created viability of the fetus rather than deal with the trimesters. Here's what it says. Although upholding the essential holding in Roe and recognize that women had some constitutional liberty to terminate their pregnancies, O'Connor, Kennedy, and Souter plurally overturned the Roe trimester framework in favor of viability analysis. The plurality found that continuing advancements in medical technology had proven that a fetus could be considered viable at 23 weeks or 24 weeks rather than the 28 weeks previously understood by the court in Roe. The plurality thus redrew the line of increasing state interests at viability because of the increased medical accuracy when a fetus viability takes place. Likewise, the authors of the plurality opinion felt the fetus viability was, quote, more workable than the trimester framework. Under this new fetus viability framework, the plurality held that at a point of viability and subsequently to viability, the state could promote its interests in the potential, in quote, potentially for the potential of human life, end quote, by regulating or possibly prescribing abortion, quote, except where it is necessary in appropriate medical judgment for the preservation of life or health of the mother, end quote. Prior to the fetus viability and plurality held, the state could show concern for the fetal development, but could not impose undue burden on the female's right to an abortion. The plurality reasoned that the new pre- and post-viability line would still uphold the essential holdings of Roe, which recognized both the women's constitutionally protected liberty and the state's, quote, important and legitimate interest in potential life, end quote. So when Planned Parenthood took Casey to court, they actually screwed themselves a little bit by 6 weeks. They actually lost 6 weeks of a possible abortion issue of being able to abort your kid. Okay. So when Planned Parenthood did that, they had to have been kicking themselves because they're idiots. That is their lifeline is abortions. Okay. So by taking this to court and losing those 6 weeks, they just redrew all the lines using this viability of the fetus. So you can't go back. In other words, Harris can't go back directly to Roe v. Wade because Roe v. Wade came to court, but was written in a time period where we did not have technology to actually figure out when the fetus was truly viable. So they created the trimester work. That would never work in legalizing this today because of technology. So when Harris says she wants to codify Roe v. Wade, she's lying to you. She must not even know what Roe v. Wade is. It's a tagline because everybody knows what Roe v. Wade is, but not a lot of people realize that Casey even existed. So at 23 to 24 weeks, Casey created under Roe v. Wade that at that point, states could create restrictions and even ban abortion. Even under Roe v. Wade, states could create restrictions in the second trimester and even ban an abortion in the third. Both laws, I shouldn't say both laws because the law was Roe v. Wade. Casey altered it. Under both rulings, there was still a chance and a given right to the states to actually ban or restrict abortion. There is no law out there, Roe v. Wade or otherwise, that legalized abortion 100%. So it is nuts to me that people think that, but it's just due to the ignorance of what Roe v. Wade was and that Casey existed. But again, you are being lied to 100% by all campaigns all the time. The truth is, legalizing abortion, restricting abortion, creating frameworks for abortion, banning abortion at a federal level will never, ever happen in my lifetime, and I'm in my 30s. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great day.